Oh my God, we are live!
Finally!
We're finally live. This is Soundbooth Theater Live, and this is the very first, a very special cinema, like the full
The
thing
cinema.
is cinema. The cinema.
All named
I don't know
after
why
me.
I put this up. I should have put this. Oh. No,
What?
I should.
We have a
Perfect. Yes.
Yeah,
know
we
why-
should
I
just
don't know what I was
opened with
thinking.
that instead
Well,
of
Yeah,
that.
exactly. That would have. Yeah.
No, because then you don't get to interrupt anybody. Then you don't get to fuck anybody up with it.
Well,
I
no,
think
it's
it's better
okay.
to keep that in reserve.
That was for. Well, I don't. How am I gonna
And-
do it though? Because the whole show is that. I'm
It's-
just gonna
Well, this is
just
but this
interrupt
is still
Mother!
This is still Soundbooth Theater Live, right? This is
Your
just
mom's on?
the cinema,
Mother, why
cinema
did you do
part of it.
that?
right? And it's once a month now. All right, this show is now once a month, and it's dedicated to movie reviews.
To movies, just nothing
Right?
but movies.
So also what we're going to be doing is every time, promoting Sin's channel, because this is where you guys get even more movie stuff, right? So
Yes.
Sin, the host, I'm talking now, but Sin is supposed to be the host here. And
Yes, but I'm out of town,
Oh, wait,
so it's
hang on,
best
hang on.
that
so
I'm
you're not actually
Well, let me put
in
you
your
on the-
space.
on
There
the
we go.
top.
There we go. That's better.
That makes more sense.
Makes
Oh,
sense.
dear.
that's the Sins corner.
Tell us what today's about.
movies. It's about stupid movies. 2 of them.
Wait, 3.
No,
You-
2. There's
Oh,
two.
you
Only
didn't
2
do
of
the
them.
Extra credit.
I did
Yeah.
the extra credit.
So
2
then
out of the
what-
3
you
were
don't want to count that
sucky.
one? Is that what you're saying?
It was terrible.
Oh,
I'll
I
let
already
you
know what
decide
mean
which
now.
one I'm not.
I already know. I already know.
I've been
We just-
dying to tell you guys how I feel about this thing. I think Jeff
Okay,
figured it
alright.
out when he asked if I'd watched Baron
right.
Munchausen.
We should start with Dungeons and Dragons then, I think.
Yes, okay.
That's gonna be the least controversial one, right?
It
And we gotta
absolutely
end. We
will.
gotta end with the extra credit.
Oh
Zardoz.
gosh, bless
Zardoz.
you. Okay, all right. So, how many was this the first time they'd seen Dungeons and Dragons? I think Jeff, first time, right? What about you, Rich?
So I of all the movies, I've only seen Dungeons and Dragons movie. It was like a few months back, but it's first time. Still pretty fresh in my mind.
Yeah,
Okay.
I've seen it twice already.
This is about the 3rd time I've seen it. And this was an absolute blast. I remember when the trailer came out, it didn't look like it was going to be all that. The trailer did not do it justice, to be honest. And then I got a chance to go see an advanced screening of it at Cinemark. And I went there and it was such a blast. I had so much fun. And I loved the acting. I loved all the characters. And I remember, before this movie came out, there'd been some, how there's some types on YouTube that their channels thrive off of, decrying wokeness and all that
Yep.
stuff. The types I'm talking about? Well, people had zeroed in on something that the director of this movie said about something about how he likes to, something about men. And it was a little bit kind of like, all right, that's kind of whatever. And there was this scene where Chris Pine and what's her name? Helga? Was her name Helga the Barbarian? Right?
Yes.
I never
Helga?
I'm
remember
not sure.
names.
I'm not
I think her
sure.
name was Helga. Anyway, they're fighting and she's the one doing all the heavy
We
lifting,
can
right?
Look at it. Sure.
She's the one taking out everybody and he's just sitting there just still trying to saw the ropes off of his arms, off his hands. And they use that as an example of this movie, like demeaning men, pretending that men were like the weaker. But if you stop and think about it, it didn't bother me because this is a movie about, okay, so like attribute this to like a game, right? Gaming. You have your class. Helga was a barbarian / berserker, whatever. Then you had the bard. Then you had the druid. And Chris Pine, he was the bard and he was the strategist, right? So to me, it didn't matter that the woman was kicking ass and he was just sitting there, still couldn't get out of his binds. I thought their dynamic was hilarious and I loved it. So this movie was just a ton of fun to me.
Yeah. I also had a lot of fun with it, and I also remember when the woke scold. Is that a good word?
You
for it?
remember that? You remember that?
I remember when
Okay.
they were doing that, and I was like,
Yeah.
I mean, obviously we're all gonna suspect that from Hollywood movies going
Exactly.
forward, but like,
Right.
why talk about it? Why, like,
Well, because
I
you know
do
why.
get frustrated. Yeah, it's
Clicks.
clicks, and
Yeah.
like, I'm just as annoyed as anybody else about woke stuff, but like, I'm not gonna be scared to see any movies now because of it. Like, and honestly, when you see what happens when the woke stuff actually gets out there, is it doesn't make as much money as the stuff that's
No.
just fun and just concentrated on being good, So I think those things will just kind of take care of themselves. And
Hope so.
I wish that there was more I wish there was more stuff like what we're doing now, where it's just people just wanting to talk about the things that they're curious about, and we all have such different tastes, so we're all coming at it at from a completely different angle, instead of it being a room full of people who have the same opinion.
Echo chamber. Yeah.
That is like, I don't even care if they all have the same opinion as me. I can't stand that. Right? Like, I don't care what the opinion is. If everyone's just stroking each other's ego or mind or whatever you want to call it, it's not fun to watch. It's not fun to listen to. I want to hear a very diverse panel talk
Discussion.
about things. Yeah, discussion. That there's no discussion when everyone's agreeing.
Right. This is why I like to check out Film Threats live streams, especially their Versus panel, where they have multiple people discussing the particular movie. And sometimes they're in agreement about a lot of stuff, but then sometimes they have this, discussion and push and pull and all that on whatever it is. Like one of the latest ones I listened to was their discussion of The First Omen. And it's really interesting. They have a whole bunch of different people on there, and yeah, it's fun.
Okay, so every time you say The First Omen, I think of the very first Omen movie.
Okay, so you know what I did? I went to go see that last week, and when I was doing my review, I was like, I had to mentally force myself to remember to call it The Original Omen, because this other one's The First Omen. Anyway, Dungeons and Dragons was fun. Chris Pine, his comedic timing is just amazing, and Michelle Rodriguez, I just enjoyed her character so much, and it was unexpectedly touching certain moments, especially the scene where at the end, when he uses the tablet of, what was it called? Tablet of
Resurrection?
No, tablet of, you know what I'm talking about, the one to bring people back.
The MacGuffin.
Yeah, that thing, because that's in the entire point of the story. Exactly.
Right.
They were chasing that around. So and Hugh Grant was great as the absolute idiotic, con man.
Yeah.
He plays that role so well, does he not?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I think everyone seemed to be having a great time.
Oh,
in
yeah.
this movie. And
Yes.
I think that the fact that the movie was geared towards fun the entire time really helped it get over any flaws that it has. I will
agree.
also say, though, out of these movies, I think this one was the one I was least excited about, both when I first started it and at the end.
Jeff.
Because it was like, it was fun with no substance too at the same time. Like I felt like one thing that it was missing was, I think that Dungeons and Dragons as a brand has the potential to have more depth, and for there to be more kind of darkness, and for the stakes to feel a bit higher.
Yeah.
And like the what's really funny is that the original Dungeons and Dragons movie from, was it the early 2000s?
The early 2000s, I
man.
think.
Marlon
They leaned into that real hard
Right, and it wasn't.
with camp at the same
Yeah.
time. And so
Yeah.
it was like an experience that, you know, maybe if I watched it now, I'd have a different take on it. But like when I went to see it, I was expecting, you know, a great D&D epic, and instead I got like, you know, I got what felt like, I don't know, Rocky Horror taking itself super
Yeah.
seriously. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
it didn't make, you know, I could not connect with that movie. This one, I had fun. But again, it's like pretty much all jokes and not much in the way of adventure for me. I feel like it was just kind of like the plot and everything was just a setup for a series of jokes. That's how I felt about this movie.
Yeah, it was
I
definitely
feel like
lighthearted.
I would say
Sorry,
on
go
the
ahead.
comedy, it didn't like reach like Marvel levels of like nonstop quippiness. But I'd say they like captured the comedy you experience at like a D&D table between like, you know, everybody playing. Like they got that like on point, I feel like.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, that's interesting.
And I'd probably argue that that's kind of how D&D is in general, right? Like there's the potential for actually feeling like you are in this amazing, you know, sword and sorcery epic at an actual D&D table is very low. I think that, you know, everyone's livingness, their own self, is always going to come into the game in such a way that, you know, everyone is still around a table having a good time, right? And not like, you know, not actually role playing as the, you know, seriously as these characters and feeling the same way that characters in an epic fantasy would feel. There's that limitation. There's that kind of ceiling that everyone kind of has on average. Now, I bet you could form an Avengers of the best cosplayers and role players in the world and bring them together and get a legit Dungeons and Dragons epic out of it. That's just like mind blowing, you know. But that's generally not the feeling you're gonna get out of a tabletop experience with people, and that's okay. You know, I don't. That's not what I'm looking for when I'm around a D&D table. I want an experience like this movie, you know, where we're all just kind of aware of the silliness of the situation, aware of the silliness of the setting, and, you know, just having a good time rolling the dice with the boys, you know. So I think in that sense, it's pretty one-to-one to what you experience.
I've never played D&D, so I wouldn't know. I just could be. So I think this movie, one thing I really liked about it is that it can appeal to non-fans as well, people who have no knowledge at all about Dungeons and Dragons or anything like that. It's just a fun fantasy film.
Yeah.
That's what it was for me. I really like some of the moments that I laughed the hardest was when that druid was slamming that red sorcerer all to shit in the ground. Remember that? When it was the bird.
Wait.
At the very
end.
end, it reminded me when Thor was slamming Loki into the ground in Avengers.
Oh, yes. Yeah, are you talking about the owlbear?
Yeah, the
Yes.
druid. He
Yes,
turned
I
into
love the owlbear. That's maybe my favorite part of the movie is the owlbear, and not because it's funny, not because it's entertaining, but I don't think I've ever seen an actual owlbear in a
Owlbear.
movie.
Yeah, it was different.
And it was just so badass. I just thought that thing was so cool. They did a great job designing that creature.
Yeah. Okay, Ahmed.
So from the gamer's perspective, because I am a big player of the game, I think they definitely put a lot of stuff in for the D&D fan. I guess the cross section, a great cross section would be whenever they would show the top downs of the rooms, right? Like they did it a few times when people like entered a room and then they'd show like a complete perfect top down, so you could see them kind of going into their like locations in the room.
I
That
never
was
noticed
something.
that. That's
I
awesome.
didn't
Yeah,
either. Yeah.
it happened several times, and that's the kind of stuff like I pick up on. The other thing was the fat dragon.
Oh,
Oh,
dude,
that
is
dragon.
that
this
shit
is
kills
stuff
me.
this is stuff that like would be great in a game. Like it's like, and that's what you want from this movie. You want to make sure that the nerds are also pleased. And I can't imagine a nerd going into this and being like, yeah, Fat Dragon was awesome. Like I would have loved to put that in my game, you know?
Yeah.
So there's a lot of that happening in this movie, I think. Which is good on them. You know, when they wrote in these characters, they made sure to, you know, to consider that as well. So you do get this like layer of a gamer layer, but then you have another layer of like just, you know, it's a good movie. You know, it's a fun movie.
Real quick, hold on. Someone's got a rumble going on, and I'm not sure who it is.
It might be
what's
me.
a rumble?
It's my.
Yeah,
probably
it's
my
not me
AC.
because I didn't
Okay.
stream to
Can you
Rumble
just
this
mute
time.
when you're not talking? There we go. Okay, yeah.
Oh, you mean I thought you meant the Rumble platform.
No, no.
I didn't know what he meant. I thought it was like some kind of like the people were getting together and they were getting ready to rumble.
Oh no, I thought he meant because I stream sometimes to Rumble, but this time I'm streaming to Twitter and YouTube.
So yeah, this is another cool thing. What a cool
I like that design
slingshot.
of that. Yeah,
What a cool
right.
Slingshot.
Right.
It's for me. It's those things. The way that they visualized the portal. You know, when she flipped through it and she came out on the other side, like
I
upside
love
down.
that scene. Yeah.
That was that
was
somehow
cool.
the gravity was flipped. It was an interesting like thing to add to the magic. The action scenes were like legit. When when the paladin guy fought the other guy, I felt that scene moved really quickly. They were fighting very fast, and it was good. You know, like I felt like I was in the moment in that fight. The Holga scenes were also the Holga scene, the one you were described where he's like untying himself. I remember being like smitten at that as well.
That was funny.
It's yeah, no, I like that the characters, they all, you know, the main character is not a fighter. You know, he's totally a bard, and
Yep,
it's a total
he's a planner.
like,
He's a bard.
unexpected, but yeah. The scene with the raised dead, it's something we do in the game all the time, but like that was such a great fun application when they're in the graveyard and they're
That's
waking
like
up
one of my favorite scenes.
the skeletons, and he asked him. That's like something a DM would pull on you, you know, in the middle of the game. Totally, I feel like it's been done to me before.
that was
matter.
funny.
Where like you ask a question and you just ask it out in the air, and then the DM is like, gotcha, you said that in the game, like we're not going to take that back. We're not going to let you just say erase it and say that you didn't ask a question because you just did. And so it's you know, there's so that's how the rules are kind of intertwined with the plot. And then finally I think Chris Pine was very funny. He was very entertaining, for sure, like very entertaining. I think that was an interesting choice in Michelle Rodriguez. Because she was great in the role. It was fine, but I just would never have expected that, like to be the choice. But I guess, you know, after you watch it, it makes sense. You know, like I think that's you go when I went in, I didn't get it, and the end, the villain. I feel like the last fight with the villain was probably like it wasn't the best fight in the movie.
Yeah.
For some reason.
No, yeah, it wasn't. Yeah.
I think
Sure.
the stone dragon was fun. That was cool. Like a cool idea of how to use an animate spell. There's a spell in the game called animate object, I think it is. And so I imagine that that's what she would have used to animate that dragon, which to me as a gamer, once again, is like interesting. An interesting
Also the fact that
quantity.
like they broke her concentration on the spell and they like
Yeah,
stopped and like
they specified it. You know, they kind of they said this is how we're going to do it. It was good. It was good for a D&D player to watch it. I remember leaving the theater being very satisfied when I watched it the first time.
Nice.
The family all liked it too. So I guess that they got the, you know, it hits the spot in that vein dimension as well. You know, like it's definitely a family friendly film that you could watch with the kids.
So I have a couple questions. 2 questions. Yeah, exactly 2. Did you guys see the little thing in the like mid-credit scene?
Mm-mm.
The skeleton was still there, waiting for his last question.
Oh
Yes,
yeah.
yes,
Oh, yeah,
yes.
yeah.
That was funny.
Okay.
Yeah, perfect. That was perfect.
And then the other thing that I wanted to ask you, and this is something that I noticed, and it bugged me because I couldn't figure out the answer to that. What were you getting ready to say? Were you getting ready to say
No, I
something?
was going to talk about that. I almost forgot to talk about the gauntlet, the arena. There's a lot that happens in that arena that's really like
When they had
nostalgic
that,
and awesome.
because they had the mimic
so
there.
the other,
That was cool.
there was another group, right?
Right.
And that other group, you would see them in the periphery, but you didn't know who they were. That's the original Dungeons and Dragons group from the cartoon. So,
Oh.
hang on. So
Yeah, pull 'em
Dungeons
up.
I
and
had no
Dragons-
idea.
Hang on.
So
yeah.
see, this is something that fans would absolutely be able to
Yup.
recognize,
Oh,
but
yeah.
people like me
Oh, yeah.
just
So check it out.
right over my head.
Hang on, I want to pull this. Let me. How come when I click on a picture, it doesn't? Just make the picture bigger, Google.
Well, you're already sharing the other screen. And
Yeah,
by the
no,
way,
I'm trying to go to the. Let me go to the IMDb for.
to anybody in the comments, I can't see your comments right now because I'm using my travel laptop and it's a really small screen. So I've just got this screen maximized. I'm not ignoring you. I just can't see your comments. I'm
So,
doing
yeah.
the best with what I have. So
So, the cartoon characters are actually. I don't know if you remember what they looked like, but
I never saw the cartoon. So
yeah. It was exactly these people, and I forget all their
Oh.
names, but it was straight up these characters here that were in that whole scene as
That's
the
funny.
other group that was in the. So there was that. The way they used the gelatinous
The
cube.
gelatinous cube, yeah.
Yeah, the way they used it, they jumped into it. That's something like, that's like kind of an intuition. You would never do it, but faced with the right peril, maybe, that's a cool way of getting out of trouble in essence. And then the Displacer Beast, which
Yeah.
is Displacer Beast is a staple of like D&D since 2nd edition. Like this, it's a panther with these like tentacles, and it makes itself kind of disappear and reappear, and it actually specifically it duplicates itself, makes it hard for you to tell where it actually is. And that was definitely totally D&D throwback thing. And then finally, the Mimic.
Yeah.
The Mimic.
Yes.
The Mimic
So
Mimic.
underused.
Boxy was
I
in
recognized
one
that thing
scene.
right away. I was like,
Lost
oh,
the point.
it's Foxy.
We needed Boxy to come back at least 2 more times.
Yeah.
That was...
That was cool. Even I knew what the heck that was.
Yeah. Boxy. Yeah, Boxy totally showed up at
Yep.
a great time. It was awesome.
Yep. And someone else mentioned what I also loved as a scene was the intellect devourers when they passed.
Oh yes, they walked right by.
Oh yeah, that was funny. Yeah,
nerds.
and he was
nerds
like,
would,
"Well, that's a little hurtful."
yeah. Nerds would be like repulsed by. They'd be like, the intellect devourers
Oh,
would be
God.
fine with their brains because they have intelligence that's greater than 10 or whatever. There's
So,
there's definitely
you know
a
what-
nerd argument there.
you know what those creatures reminded me of, Jeff? Was those creatures in Dungeon Lord? There's a creature in Dungeon Lord that's like a brain thing, and it's like,
Oh yeah.
you know what I
yeah.
mean?
Mhm.
That's what I thought they were. That's what it reminded me of. Because that's actually what I pictured in my brain when that is happening in the story.
Right. Yeah.
But something else I wanted to ask you. So, the opening scene. Well, one of the opening scenes, Jarnathan. Oh, Jarnathan.
Another one
so-
of my favorite parts.
I want to ask you guys, where did you watch this?
Home. On my TV.
No, I mean, like, what outlet did you watch
Oh.
it from?
Amazon. Probably?
Did you watch it from Amazon?
I originally
Ahmed?
watched it in the theater. I went to
Well,
the
me
theater.
too. Me too. And I saw
But
it
then
again.
I don't remember where I saw it when I saw it again.
What about you, Rich?
I watched it on some streaming service, but I don't remember which one.
Okay, so they cut
Where's
out this
Netflix?
scene. They cut out a tiny little part of that scene when I saw it on the big screen, and then I think when I saw it later, on some other streaming outlet. When they jump out of the window with Jonathan at the very beginning, there was a really quick moment where it showed the people on the council or whatever, the parole, whatever.
Yeah, yeah.
They indicated something like, well, we were going to let you
Yeah,
go.
yeah.
We were going to release
we
you.
were gonna let you go. Yeah.
In the Amazon version, that is
out?
not there.
Really?
Why?
It is
Wait,
gone.
did you see that, Jeff? This should answer the question.
I did see that part. I'm pretty sure.
It was not in my Amazon version because I was confused. I said to Matt, my brother, because Matt was watching. I'm up here in Jersey, and he was watching it with me, and I kept waiting for them to show that part because that was kind of like the extra humor to the scene. They went to all this trouble for Jonathan, and they were going to be released anyway, and that never showed up.
Yeah, it was like part of the punchline. That's such a weird choice.
Exactly. It is weird.
Yeah,
So that's why I was asking you guys. Like that was very odd.
That was
And
hilarious.
it was not like
I laughed out loud at that joke.
Jordan!
That's the first big joke of the
Yeah.
him
Yeah,
jumping out the
exactly.
window. Not so much. It's like, what are you doing? But then when the guy says, "But we were gonna let you go,"
Yeah, exactly.
Like, why did you went through all this trouble?
My favorite thing
You should have
about
stopped while you were ahead. In
My
other words,
favorite
you
thing
don't
about
know
that-
when you won. You don't know when you won.
my favorite thing about those scenes, both of them, is that they're upset at Jonathan. The council is upset at Jonathan
Yeah.
the whole
He's
time.
late. He's
Like-
late. And yeah.
Well, but then
Well, they
they
weren't
grab onto him
upset.
and they're like, Jonathan, what are you doing?
the council wasn't.
Oh, that's
they weren't
right.
upset. They weren't upset, and it
remember
was just
that.
he's late. It was Chris Pine kept wanting him to show
yeah,
up.
yeah,
and they're
because
like,
he
he'll
was
be here
the
soon.
escape plan.
Yeah, exactly.
He didn't expect to actually win them over. And D&D
Right.
that would have been like a natural 20, like a really high roll that you didn't expect to come on a skill that maybe you weren't sure you were gonna, like, him versus some judges. Like, he's not really a lawyer. He's like,
Right.
I don't know, but the player rolled and they rolled high enough that the judges were convinced. But even though he wasn't aware, that was brilliantly played. It was a good intro.
It was
as well.
fun. I just the number one, his name is funny, Jonathan.
Jonathan, yeah,
Instead of
yeah.
Jonathan, and then the look on that woman's face. She was like, "Oh, Jonathan!"
Yeah, she's so appalled by his behavior. Like,
No, not like that. Jonathan is being thrown out the window.
yeah, I know.
Oh, Jonathan!
Oh, Scott has confirmed that you are just making up rumors.
No,
Sorry,
I'm not. I'm gonna go
Sam.
back and rewatch it because I
Okay.
specifically mentioned that to Matt. I was waiting for that moment. Unless it's very possible that maybe it glitched and we just didn't know it. I'm gonna go back and find that scene now, see if it's there.
Yeah, that is strange. By the way, the practical effects in the whole movie were like great. Like the
Yeah,
way,
it was
like,
fun.
They
Yeah, had
handled like I think they were like Dragonborn.
Tabaxi? The Tabaxi baby?
The Aarakocra, yeah, the Tabaxi.
the cat baby.
Oh, the one that was
so
pulled out of the-
weird that it was
yeah.
animatronic. There's some
Yeah.
things were CGI and some weren't, but the things
Right.
that were just the big fish and it was funny. I thought it was
Yeah.
funny.
Yeah. For me, I guess the only other complaints I have about this movie are like practical effects. I wanted more. I wanted less CG and more practical.
Agreed.
I like. There's something about when you do too much CG in a movie that it just kind of feels like that's what the movie is made of. And that takes me out of it. I want just a slight bit of jankiness. I want like to believe that these characters are interacting with props.
Actually, physically
you know,
there, yeah.
Yeah, and that there's workmen, on the set that have crafted this thing. And not to say that CG isn't work, but it's kind of cheating a little bit, I guess.
No, it is.
Yeah, it's kind of cheating a little bit.
One of the
So-
first shots of CG I noticed was just an image of someone riding a horse in the distance, and that was CG, and that really stood out to me because it was like, why?
Yeah.
That doesn't. Anyway,
Yeah.
sorry. Go ahead, Jeff.
The answer is the answer to why is they just thought of it. They just thought of putting the guy there. They didn't have time for a reshoot or whatever.
Well, it
so
was
they
very
just threw it.
obviously CG.
Yeah. Oh, and by the way, people, someone Outlander just gave us some numbers here. We forgot to ask people to give us numbers for this.
Oh shoot! And you know what? Someone else
everybody-
is gonna. I don't have a pen, y'all.
Okay, I'll do it.
So, because I'm down in my brother's basement, and I'm in a very uncomfortable setup. I'm on the.
Oh no, that's a good point. Why don't Rich will feed you the score. Rich will feed you the scores. You can see them on your screen now. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So
if you can't see the chat, you can still see the comment.
All right. So D&D. What are we? We're talking about Munchausen next, right?
Yes, because Zardoz extra credit was last.
D&D.
But so we got a 9.5 from Outlander.
Baron and Zardoz. Okay, so 9.5 from Outlander, and he said 7 for Zardoz. Okay. So yeah, anybody else, like, for now, just give us numbers for D&D. What did you guys think? Do you guys have anything else to say about D&D before we move on?
I don't think I do.
Okay, and I'm going to go ahead and take our numbers for it. I'm giving it a 6 and a not necessarily recommend. Like, I won't say don't see it. It's not a negative recommend, but it's like it's fine. It's fine. I wouldn't tell somebody for sure you have to see it.
Yeah, okay. I feel like when coming to rating, I with these 3 movies, I have to consider watchability or rewatchability.
Rewatchability.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Rewatchability. I have to kind of consider it. And with that said, I want to give this movie an 8.5.
8.5?
Because for me, I feel like I could rewatch it pretty. It's easy going, easy watch.
8.5 recommend?
Yeah, totally recommend. Yeah.
I give it the same score.
Rich gave it 8.5.
Yeah.
Recommend. And Sin?
I would definitely give it at least an 8 and
8.
Absolutely recommend. You don't even have to be a hard fantasy fan to enjoy a film like this. It's just a lot of fun.
Okay, wait, we got another number here. Veramunk says...
Oh, hey, Javier. That's Javier.
That's Javier. Okay,
yeah.
7.5.
Okay. All right. Cool.
Sorry,
I didn't see you.
Anybody else in the audience want to rate D&D?
Yeah, we totally forgot to mention that.
Okay, so anyone in the audience who has watched The Adventures of Baron Munchausen, now is the time to give us numbers.
Give us your numbers. Gosh.
I think this is that Whistler movie, right?
Which
one?
What?
Showing the ad right now. From the Whistler.
Oh, what is that?
The Whistler movie, the one with the whistle from Kill Bill. Yes, thank you.
Oh, no, that's Orson Welles. Yeah.
Is that coming?
Oliver Reed.
No, this is
no.
I don't think it's that. I thought it was
okay,
that
so
at first.
They're showing that because it's Oliver.
Cheryl, 4 is for Baron Munchausen.
A 4 for Baron Munchausen? Is that what she said? Okay.
4, 9 from Enigma. Bill gives.
I haven't even. Oh, hey, Enigma. I haven't even rated this on Letterboxd or Critic List yet, and I haven't rated Baron or Zardoz because I didn't want any of you guys to see my score.
Oh, good.
Okay.
Good
call.
But I mean,
gives D&D a 9.
I would have seen that shit by accident.
Yeah, you might would have.
Okay, so I'll watch for more ratings. But yeah, who wants to start on this one?
Baron Munchausen? Yeah. I hated this movie.
Okay.
It was an absolute torture. It was torture. It took me days to watch it, and I couldn't wait for it to be over. It was one of the stupidest things I've ever watched. And The little girl was cute, but the whole thing with Robin Williams was just so dumb and gross, and him eating the food. I mean, I just have a bunch of like thoughts rolling around in my brain. I was like, okay, there was one thing I liked at the very beginning when they were doing the play. And the little child's father, who was the one who was playing as Baron Munchausen in the very beginning, when he gets out, he goes behind the curtain and he like does this funny little gesture about what he wants to be done with the, I don't know, whatever, what he wanted the people working on the play to do. Okay, I got a giggle out of that, and then after that, it was all downhill from there. And it was terrible. Did you notice that Uma Thurman was in it?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And Sting was in it for like half a second.
Yeah, he was gone.
That was like
he was the guard that was too good.
Right,
Yeah,
he was
Uma
just
Thurman
gone.
Came
Yeah,
back again and again and again. Yeah.
Right, she was. I first noticed her as she was one of the townspeople, and then she showed up as Aphrodite, and then she was townspeople. And I was like, wait, so like the very first thing
she was
ever
also on stage. She was with the stage crew.
I didn't notice she was on. I didn't even notice her until the townspeople, like right before they went off on their adventure. And so I was confused. So the first time I ever saw her was in Dangerous Liaisons. This came out the exact same year.
Pretty much, it's the same thing as the Wizard of Oz thing, where all the townspeople represented,
right.
In
I
his
noticed
story.
that. One of the things I wrote down is, why is this so highly rated? Question mark. Robin Williams eating, disgusting. What was it? Oh, miserable and stupid. I was miserable and this was stupid. Okay, Oliver Reed. Okay, I like seeing him in there. There were some funny moments of dialogue. Was it Jonathan Pryce, Pryc? Is that his name, Jonathan Pryce? Just funny little moments of dialogue from him when he was like negotiating with the Sultan or whatever.
Yeah.
And the Sultan was like saying he wanted the virgins, and he was like, "Oh, forget the virgins. We're out of virgins." Okay, all right. Like little moments like that did make me laugh, but I was thinking also that this is a movie made for kids, but there was some kind of heavy imagery in here. Like they had beheadings, and they had disembodied heads, and they had nude bodies, and I don't know. Anyway, I hated it. Couldn't stand it.
Okay.
Yep. Was not enjoyable at
Ahmed,
all.
what you got?
Oh, it reminded me about the nude fatties. That was like
the fatties, yeah.
That was striking. That was very striking, and it did weird me out initially. I was like, because that was right at the beginning. I was like, what? Wait, what? Like what?
Yeah.
Like that was unexpected. Like I just didn't I didn't see that coming. The horse.
We got a little
the
Umanip too. I don't know if you noticed that.
Yeah, what?
When she was in the oyster.
Aphrodite, yeah. Mm-hmm.
So this
that was whole creepy
is,
though. That whole thing with him and her. That was
why
creepy.
it gets its score. Where it gets its score. It is visually striking.
Yep.
It is, the practical effects are weird, but they're interesting.
Yeah.
All the visual stuff was goofy, but it was interesting. Like that, I think that's where, and yeah, it was a little dragged, and there was a lot.
So
and the story, it was just like, I get that these were his adventures, but his adventures were always a little like, so it was like, it reminded me of what was the disc, Terry Pratchett, and where like you're telling a story and you're weaving it, and you have all these characters, and it's colorful like Scheherazade or 1,000 Arabian Nights, or you're like weaving, but it's not really going anywhere per se, and it's not like even had the Reaper was following him around, but I don't know that it had a message. I don't know that it just happens,
Yeah.
Like even
It's
like Time Bandits as well. That was another movie that was like, you compare it to this. It was definitely
it's in the same trilogy.
Oh, there's a trilogy?
Yes. So Time Bandits is the first movie, Brazil is the second movie, and Baron Munchausen is the third movie.
Oh,
I
you're
didn't
talking.
know
Wait.
That's interesting.
Are you talking when you say trilogy? You mean that these movies are connected, or you just mean a trilogy
They're
of
all
movies that
Gilliam?
this director did?
They're all Gilliam, and they're all thematically tied.
Yeah,
I
And
kinda
they're
see
all
it as like
about the same thing.
It's like the Cornetto trilogy with Edgar Wright. They're not like
Yeah.
the same
Directly connected,
movies.
but
They're not
they're connected.
connected,
Right.
but they're like same actor, same director.
Right. Yeah. So Sorry,
also,
Ahmed.
yeah, they had the superheroes thing going on, which was interesting and weird. Oh, that was the first time. I don't know that they've ever done a speedster in a movie before that. Like,
Oh, really?
The way that they do fly. I don't know. Was there any movie before this one where they did practical somebody running super fast?
I'm pretty confident there was a Flash movie before this, but I
Really?
don't know if they did. a
But
good
this
job
this
with
was
it, even
like
if they
almost,
did.
it was a very modern take on the way that they zoomed in on the feet when he was running, and then
Yeah.
how he built speed and how they did the long shot of him going by. There was a lot there that was really interesting visually that I thought felt ahead of its time a little bit. You know?
Oh yeah,
like
that is the thing about this movie is it is ahead of its time. If you look at all the effects that are going on, and I did a little bit of extra research on this movie and like learned a little bit more about it so that I could talk a little bit more and understand its origins a little bit more. But Baron Munchausen is a fairy tale that people in Europe know really well. Baron Munchausen was an actual dude.
Yeah, I knew that
and
much.
he was actually a ridiculous liar. And but that's what this movie's about. It's about fiction and fantasy.
Yeah,
it's
the
it's
most
it's another
ridiculous
movie.
lie.
It's another movie about movies, and it's about what it means kind of to be a storyteller and what effect you have on the world when you tell your tall tales, right? So that's what I get out of it. It's the filmmaking in and of itself, and also this movie cost $46 million in
It came out in 88.
1987.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, it came out in '88, but
Right, when they were filming
spent
it
the
for their
$46
year
million
before.
before 1988.
That was
right?
a
So
hefty budget for
huge
back in the
budget,
day.
and it bombed hard. It hit.
Yeah.
It made $8 million worldwide.
Jesus.
So now it's made way more money than that since it came out. Since it became
Well, the more
this cult
popular
classic.
the actors are, and then you
Yeah.
go back, people go back and watch them in their earlier roles and appreciate them. There was a lot of like big actors in this
Yeah.
movie.
Yeah, but again, it's like I think that Brazil pretty much does everything that this movie does better. And Brazil's my favorite movie of all time. But it also, Brazil has more structure to it. There's like a story. There's a main character that isn't absolutely out of his mind. There's a lot more to Brazil, in my opinion. But this is mainlined, 100% distilled fantasy. It's fantasy completely out of control.
It's like
Yeah.
It's like fairy tale or like
For sure.
Greek myth.
And
Like it just kind of touches all the.
Yeah, exactly. And to me, I don't enjoy watching this movie so much for entertainment as more of like an experiment. It really is
Yeah.
like a filmmaking experiment and watching, what a filmmaker is capable of, right? So I'll give my rating later, but this definitely, it's a milestone in its achievements, but it's not particularly entertaining. That's what I think. There's so many great moments, though. I really love Baron Munchausen himself. I think that actor did an amazing job playing that character. There's also other Baron Munchausen movies. One came out in 1961, and you can watch that on YouTube. That one, I can't remember if it's in German or French, but I started watching that one. It's way more fucked up than this movie. And I think there is a Baron Munchausen silent film from like the 20s or 30s or something. Baron Munchausen is an IP, if you want to call it that, that's been around for a really long time. And so, this is just Terry Gilliam's take, and it just happens to be the definitive take in mainstream movies, right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, so all I can think about when I think about the title of this movie and just the movie itself, the character of Baron Munchausen is just Munchausen's by proxy. That's all I can think about. Because
Yeah, and I don't remember what that means.
okay, so, so like you were saying, yeah, he was a real life person. I knew he was a real life person. He was liar, inflated everything, exaggerated everything. So Munchausen's by proxy is like when someone is doing that same thing, but they're like the target of that is somebody else. So okay, usually mothers do it with their children. Like they will smother their child and then they need help to rescue their child. It's like they get this attention on themselves by using somebody else. It's really insidious and gross, but that's
there was like a famous like case about that.
There have been multiple cases about that where you can see
that girl,
video
like teamed up with some guy to like kill her mother because her mother was like crazy and like
abusing her.
Yeah.
I think I know who you're referring to, but I'm not so sure that that's Munchausen. Oh yeah, because the mother was hurting the daughter. Yeah, they'll do. Oh, like in that movie, Sixth Sense, when the woman was poisoning her own daughter, she was getting all this attention because her poor daughter was so sick. Well, she was the one killing her. Yeah, that's Munchausen's by proxy. So. That's what was on my mind a lot when I was watching this, but I just couldn't, yes, the practical effects, they were interesting. They were different. A lot of hard work you could tell went into this, but I hated pretty much 99.99% of the time I was watching it. I could not wait for it to be over. I toyed with the idea of just walking out of the movie, like, in other words, not even finishing it.
Yeah. Ahmed, were there any other highlights that you loved? Because I can think of tons of highlights that I absolutely loved about
the
this
pipe
movie.
organ.
The pipe organ was
people
hilarious.
Pipe organ. Yeah, the torture pipe organ.
Oh, yeah,
amazing. Yeah, this
I think
like where they came up with this stuff.
Is that a reused skit from Monty Python?
I don't know.
From because I mean, Sin, you knew this, right? Terry Gilliam's one of the Pythons.
I did not.
Yeah, Terry Gilliam is
I
the
just
only
recognized
American.
his name.
He's the only American Python, and he was the one who did all the animations.
Oh, he's actually an American? I assumed he was British.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
He was
obviously
also the
we have Eric
coconut
Idle.
guy from the movie.
Yep. No, he was in a lot of background characters in the actual show.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So this is, that's why I don't know if you noticed, but there's a lot of Monty Python feeling in this movie. And that's spread across all of his movies. Like it's because he's kind of the backbone of the troupe. So other things, I absolutely loved the what was it? Oliver
Reed.
Oliver Reed. That whole scene was amazing. I loved that scene. I love that they left the moon and they hit the crater, and then all the giants are looking down on them, right? And they're like, "Oh, what are you doing, puny mortals?" And then he helps them up, and just the way that they timed that, and the look on Oliver's face, but no one says anything when Baron's like taller than all of them, and he's like, okay, and then they just keep going, right?
And the little teeny tiny teacups they were using.
Yes, yeah. And then the fact they kept calling this strong man a midget, right? Like, and he loved it because it made him feel humble and all that. Just this is to me the best part of the movie is that scene. My second favorite part is right before it, the moon. Loved Robin Williams in it, and I loved like the things. Just what he was saying, floating around as a head, and his protestations against his body and bodily functions and all that.
Yeah.
And then when they climbed the crescent moon, and they tied the rope to the end of the moon, and they were climbing
cuts
down.
Off the end.
Yeah, he's like, "Oh, I got it from the top, of course." But to me, that highlights the actual. That is the backbone right there of the whole philosophy of the movie, is just let go. Just have fun in the fantasy and don't worry about how things work or anything about logic, or just have fun with the stupid story and let this asshole tell his stupid lies. Let them be lies and then go on with your life.
Wow.
So
Unfortunately I couldn't. This reminded me of the idiocy of Dumb and Dumber. That's why I don't like Dumb and Dumber.
Dumb and Dumber is one of the best movies in the world.
This is why I don't like it, because the comedy
Oh my
is too
gosh.
stupid to me. I can't appreciate and enjoy the comedy because it's just so dumb. I just can't.
So good.
I know a lot of people love it. It's one of my
Dumb and
husband's
Dumber's
favorite.
a 9 for sure.
Oh gosh, buzz it now.
No question. Oh, dude, Uma Thurman was hotter than she's ever been in this movie, I think.
Well, that's because she was
it
a
made me
lot
feel
younger.
like this is where she got her
This
start.
is yes. Well, this is the same year that Dangerous Liaisons came out, and this is how I remember. This was how she looked in that very first movie I ever saw her in. I don't know whether this came out first or what, but
she was in Dangerous Liaisons.
Dangerous Liaisons. Yes, she was the love interest of John Malkovich. In there,
I saw. Oh no, I did see that movie. That's right.
Long time. Michelle Pfeiffer.
You know what I saw before I saw Dangerous Liaisons was there's a remake of it from the 90s with Sarah Michelle Gellar and
Oh yes, Cruel Intentions.
yes, I saw that first.
Yeah.
And
okay.
so when I saw Dangerous Liaisons, I was like, oh,
I know what's going to happen.
this is the same movie.
Yeah.
I didn't realize it when I watched them both, but
Yep.
okay. Well, does anybody else have anything else to say about Baron Munchausen?
We didn't see Sting long enough, and it was a little disturbing at the end. He's this old guy, and Uma Thurman. That was just like, I don't know. That was gross. That was gross to me.
Okay, so what do we got? Sin. Got a number?
2.5.
2.5.
And and that's high for me, and it's only because there were those moments of dialogue that were kind of funny.
Okay, so I'm gonna give it a 6, and I'm gonna give it also a highly recommend. Again, from an academic filmmaking perspective, from a historical perspective, I think it's something good to watch. I also had the same feelings, Ahmed, that you had. Like, there's definitely plenty of places where it drags a bit, where like I wanted things to move a little faster, and there's something about. I think the fact that it is so disconnected that
because it did move really fast, right? A lot of things did happen, but I think, I don't know, maybe not the right things, right? Like, not the things that make you feel like you're advancing the story in a way that you're going to end it, that your brain is going to be satisfied at the end. You're going to be like, there we go.
Feel like just get on with it.
You feel like when you get to the halfway point and you still don't know what the goal is of the situation. I mean, there was the vague goal of like stopping the Sultan, but it also felt like that wasn't really it, right? So my brain is like searching for what it is, and you never really find it. And so you get to the end of the movie and you're like, you're still running, like you were never told to like slow down, or here comes the ending, or there's no cues to like, it just, I mean, it does end, but it doesn't, I don't know. It didn't flow.
Yeah. Bill Underbridge says Bill Underbridge says the plot. What's going on here? The plot is loose. It makes it feel slower and without payoff. And I think that's it. I think that it's just. Inherent in the movie's structure and story in and of itself that it's gonna feel like a drag just spending this much time there, right? Like,
yeah, it's more than 2 hours.
Essentially, what we have here is the ramblings of a crazy old man. For 2 hours, right? So, yeah, it could have been shorter. I think it outstayed its welcome for sure. Yeah. So, I think so. Enigma gave it a 6. I need to. Rich, can you calculate this stuff for us real quick? First of all, let's just do Baron Munchausen for the crowd. We got a 4, a 9.
Ooh.
A 6.5.
Wow.
A 6. I'm sorry, 2 6s, and an 8.
Wow.
For somebody, this was the definition.
Hey,
of the
look,
movie.
there is so much. There's so much. That's the thing is, like, I don't like this movie as much as I like the D&D movie. But there's I gave them both 6s.
But you said that
but
this
this is not as fun. Like I'm saying, it's academic. There's so much in it that you can learn from as a filmmaker, right? All the practical effects and stuff, so ahead of its time, right? And there's more depth to it. Dungeons and Dragons is just a popcorn have a good time film.
Yeah, lighthearted and fluffy.
Right? So it's got a ceiling to it for me where it's like, it's just a fun flick. Baron Munchausen, like there's more to get into. If you're really, really a filmmaker, then you're probably like the more of a filmmaker you are, the more you're probably going to like this movie. That's the way it is,
Yeah, I could see that.
So yeah, do we
you're
got an average?
Or you're a big Monty Python fan. You watched a
Or a
lot
big
of it when you were a
Monty
kid.
Python.
Exactly.
If you watched a lot of
Right.
Monty Python as a kid, you probably just I didn't so much. So
Rich, did you get all the?
No.
Did you get the average of the
Never
Baron?
been into that.
6.5 average.
6.5 average.
that's-
And Ahmed, what was your rating?
yeah, I was 6.5. Yeah, 6.5.
Okay.
My score is going to bring it way down for us.
6. And then Rich, what was your rating?
I didn't watch the movie.
Okay, you got it.
I'll give it a 5 out of 10.
Okay. All right.
You're just playing it safe, Rich.
Okay. So yeah.
Yeah.
All right, and we didn't actually average our D&D ratings either. So we had a 6, 2 8.5s, and an 8.
There was something
Yeah.
that Enigma Severus mentioned earlier. I didn't want to forget it.
Yeah.
was the
Bradley
last
Cooper's
number?
scene as a halfling. Oh, sorry.
Oh, that's
Yes.
so
Oh
funny.
yeah, I
Sting
wanted
was
to
the
bring that
character
up.
in Baron.
That was so
Yeah.
I
fucking
forgot about
funny.
That little tiny.
That was amazing. I laughed through that whole. I was just like, "What is going on?" And then he gets his girlfriend is like
a
a
giant
bootleg
too.
version of Holga.
Yeah.
It was a bootleg Holga. Oh, that was just amazing.
Just the awkward humor is
Yeah,
great.
that was really funny.
She likes the little guys.
Yeah. But it was just it was just so what?
It was like
It was the
one of the least
conversation was very
expected
mature. Yeah, it was
Yeah.
a very mature conversation about relationship. Like that scene was just out of that scene could have been the same scene in a romance movie if they weren't in the cosplay, right?
What was the last score for D&D from the audience?
From the audience, I'll just read it all again. We had 9.5, 7.5, and 9.
Oh, that's going to be a higher weighted
Yeah.
average. That's going to be a higher average than ours.
Okay, so it's pretty straightforward what we're getting for Baron. That's 5 average for the 3 of us.
Okay.
But what was the average of the audience score for Baron? Sorry.
That was
6.5.
6.5.
6.5. Okay, and then for D&D,
Hold on,
The
I think I
audience.
calculated it wrong.
I think audience average for D&D is going to be higher than ours.
yeah, it's
Because, Jeff, you drag it down with a 6.
basically 8 plus 9 plus 9. So 18,
3.75.
26. So yeah, 8.75. It's like okay. All right, and now our extra credit.
Yay.
Now this one's gonna be my favorite of the bunch.
I'm
God.
really excited. I'm really excited.
Oh man. Oh man.
Pull up that
Hey,
iconic
you guys
shot
start.
of Sean Connery.
Gosh,
I'll
this
start.
was like
I'll
the-
start. I'll start.
I'm gonna
I'll
distract.
I haven't watched this movie, but I really want to watch it.
Okay.
Do
so,
you really,
I'm
First
Rich?
gonna really
thing-
want to watch it after this.
It just
First thing
it's just
I have
one
to
of those
say-
weird movies.
First thing I have to say is that Bill Underbridge said the best thing.
Yes.
about
I kept
it. He
thinking
said-
about. I kept thinking
he-
it. I kept
yeah.
thinking it.
He said it's shockingly watchable.
Yeah, I actually wrote that down in my notes. I wrote that down in my notes because I have to dispute that
Okay.
completely.
Okay, so
Oh, gee.
first of all, we
Crap,
have
just
one.
look at this.
We need people to rate Zardoz in the chat. So we've got 1 7 from somebody. I think that might have been Bill Underbridge that gave it a 7.
Let's start off.
You are being
pretty high.
super generous with that one. Look, even the IMDb score is super generous.
Yeah, Bill gave it a 7. Okay, anybody else who watched Zardoz, please. hold on. Enigma Severus says it makes Sean Connery alone makes it a 6, but does that mean that there's been added score or?
Oh well,
or
we got
taken away score?
the 7
We got a 2.
from earlier from Outlander. He gave it a 7.
We got a 2 from
And then
Ozzy
Ozzy
Bogon
gave
Tech.
it a 2. Yeah.
Thank you. I
Ozzy's
agree with that.
bringing
one.
it down
Enigma, you're
back
gonna have to
reality.
confirm or deny that 6 score.
Oh gosh.
This movie feels like a more.
Oh, Outlander
watchable
said that
version
that
of,
7 was from him earlier, so we have 2 7s on this one.
What were you saying,
Oh,
Rich?
Enigma gives it a 7. Enigma gives
This
it a
is like
7 as well?
it looks like
Okay.
a more watchable version of Holy Mountain.
Okay,
Oh, I think I've seen that.
Yeah.
So I think
yeah, you're right
the
about
penis
that. You're
is
right.
evil.
Put this down.
It,
Wrote this down in my
it
notes.
spreads its seed and creates.
Oh my gosh.
So first of all, the first
Oh.
thing I want to comment on is the big elephant in the room, Sean Connery's costume.
Lord.
Now, it made sense in the movie. I did not expect that
It
to
did?
happen. It made sense in the movie. He's just some tribesman out there, right, who has been brainwashed into being an even lower creature than he was before. And I'm sure that Zardoz kind of gave these sashes to these people. Right? So like within the universe, it actually does make sense. I expected this absolute string of nonsense from this movie. I thought it would be full of half-baked ideas that no one bothered to try and translate to make it understandable to people, or even failed to. But I think that they actually did a good job of getting their point across. That there was a linear story that actually made sense. The opening scene where Zardoz spits all the guns out, that's like one of my favorite scenes in maybe any movie. It's like a top 20 scene for me in any movie. It's fucked up. It's just weird and fucked up and hilarious. And it's got this sense of dread to it. It sets up the whole movie very well. And the very end of it, Sean Connery breaking the fourth wall and shooting the camera, it just encapsulates the entire movie. So I just think that particular scene was so incredibly well done and off the wall and unexpected and just like nothing I've ever seen before. So
yeah. Let me go next also because
Okay, go ahead.
before she tears it apart, I don't want to
yeah.
tear it apart before I get my thoughts.
Well, my tearing it apart's not going to be as organized as
Bill,
Jeff's
once
propping
again,
it up.
spades, man. You're exactly right. I was thinking the same thing, Bill. It works better today than when it probably first aired, and I think part of that is because society back then. So first of all, I want to compare this movie to Logan's Run. I want to compare it to Planet of the Apes.
Okay.
I want to compare it to other movies of the generation of the time and Dune as well. I want to compare it to these things that were in popular culture, and I think that it probably got drowned in all of the social-minded thinking movies that were coming out. It's hard sci-fi, that like sort of hard, almost fantasy sci-fi, which made me very happy. I enjoy that sort of stuff. I enjoy the implications that it had about society and what, the story that it told about. It's not just he is bamboozled in the same way that, he was a religious zealot, and he was working for somebody, and when he finally understood who he was actually working for, he felt like he was clowned and he wanted revenge. And all of that was just well written in a straight line, and it was explained well. This is unexpected. I did not expect to like this movie as much as I did. I really thought it was going to be like a clown show, or it's like, because it feels like when you're looking it's like a window into the past, and when you're looking into 1974, you're like, that just looks silly because it's 1974. But as the movie plays out, it's trying to there's a message there for sure, and it's clear. And it's clear that, he's brought into this circumstance to destroy it, but it's also saying some things about, like, I don't know, I want to say about our society, right? About the extremes of the extremes of what it means when there's no more struggle for resources. One, right? What it means when you've accomplished, what does it do to the person when they no longer have to fight for their life? So that there was that, and then the other message was that suffering on some level is required to live. I think it was a little too, they beat you over the head with the whole like male impotence thing. But I think also that was like, there's something to be said there, right? Like, like, you know, like the all of the testosterone was drained out of life, and therefore you have this like kind of bland existence where these people just want to kill themselves. But it's also like, look what the ruling class. Okay, so the sci-fi of it is the immortality, right? We invented immortality, and these are the circumstances of like what ended up happening. Is the people that could wield it ended up just doing it, and they even say it. They've isolated them. We have to keep them out. We can't let. And I feel like there's a lot to be said there about the way people are today. You know, the ruling class is today, and like the fact of the matter is like, for them, they think they're preserving society, or they're trying to, that all the people are the masses, they're barbarians. They don't know, they can't save society. It's my job to save society.
Right.
You know, like, but meanwhile, you just kind of exist now because all of your needs are met. You no longer have a struggle. You no longer have a reason. Immortality solved, no more death. I think those are all excellent messages. I just think that it was probably bit off more than it could chew for the time, but did visually cool things. The ring with the light, they used it a lot in the movie, but the way that they used that camera lens, the way he was looking at it, that was a clever little use of a technology that they probably like just had at the time. And then you know what's really weird is that the outfit's stupid, but very quickly you forget about it. Like it stops mattering immediately because the movie is really driving this plot. Yeah. You know, it's really pushing. It's like, what is this thing? What is this stone thing? What is, you know, and at first there's a lot of questions, but then it slowly, the pieces fall into place. And I think the whole like Zardoz thing, I don't know if I should give it away, but
it's fine.
The whole Zardoz
Give it
thing,
away. This movie's old.
Yeah, it's the Zardoz thing. I won't give it away. I'll just say that it reminded me of Planet of the Apes. Was it Planet of the Apes? They did it in Star Trek the Motion Picture as well, where, you know, Voyager came back and it was V'ger. Like, it was like you didn't know what it was. You thought it was an alien, but in the end it turned out to it came from here. Or, you know, the Statue of Liberty, right? In Planet of the Apes, where it's like there's this punchline at the end. It's like, haha, like there was a punchline, and it was a big joke played on the you know, the main character, the person on the hero's journey of sorts. The sex stuff was a little goofy for sure. It was a little heavy-handed and goofy. That's probably why they chose Sean Connery, I think, because he's a sexy guy. Yeah. But I feel like the hair ruined the look. Like maybe if he was bald or something, that might have worked a little better. I don't know. I feel like the hairline and then the massive ponytail just didn't work for him to make him look sexy, you know. But I think that was his point in the movie. He had to. Yeah. They needed a really attractive guy of the time, so it made sense when all the women like went gaga over him.
Oh man, you know? the way
but that was a very Dune thing. That was a very Dune thing.
They were like picking at him like he was
Oh,
that
was great
or something.
Yeah,
like
the middle. That was the best
pet,
part of the movie.
Like
that was the best part of the movie. Yeah. That was the best part of the movie. I think the middle, when they have him and they clearly take him for granted, but then he kind of introduces things back into them that, you know, that the tear thing was a little interesting, but also weird.
Sorry, Matt's Fantasy Book Review says, spoilers, I was going to watch this tonight, but I guess now I'll just watch Fallout.
You probably should just watch Fallout anyway, Matt.
You should watch Fallout, because it's awesome, by the way. But, yes, okay, so...
But the concepts were, you know, they were sound, exactly. There was nothing in there that I was like, ooh. It was just, I guess, maybe a little bit of the psychedelic... dream stuff, like when he's in the crystal and they're all like,
Yeah.
they're like
Thing
psychedelic
went on
dances.
forever. Jeez.
Yeah, that was a little. Yeah, that stuff dragged a little bit. I guess
Yeah.
but when you're making a film and you got a nice set, you want to use it, right?
Yeah,
I don't know.
Was it sweat or I thought it was sweat. I thought
like,
it was
what did
sweat,
it
not a
mean?
What?
Yeah, sweat. The work.
Yeah,
It
it's
means
sweat.
work. See, those people were apathetic. They were completely frozen, right? So they lost the will to live, and tasting his sweat, tasting the work from his sweat, it reinvigorated them. But also Zardoz said that he put something in the sauce, so that kind of obscures it a little bit. So you're like, is this sweat like his pheromones are just emitting positive juices for everybody to like come back to life with, or something? I don't know. That's a good question though.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah, so I had a
Sam's
lot
turn.
to say about that.
Well,
Philosophically, yeah.
well, I don't have much philosophically to say about it. I will say this: I got more entertainment out of and more
There's the shot.
enjoyment and more understanding out of listening to your analysis of this film. You do this film more justice than the film does for itself. I hated this film. The one thing I thought about this film, oh my gosh, this is like the male version of Barbarella. That's what it felt like.
Yeah, exactly.
And,
Yeah,
that's what it felt like.
Barbarella's more like Baron Munchausen on some level.
I've seen Barbarella once. I remember enjoying it-ish, but I was a lot younger. And so I don't know if I would like it now. But no, I could not get past the outfit. I never could get past the outfit. I really wish Sean Connery had covered up. He did absolutely zero for me. Like, he looks better as James Bond with a suit on.
Yeah.
Just
totally.
don't take your clothes off, because
don't
Sean,
put a ponytail on.
you're not, you have, like, there was no actual interesting physique at all. He doesn't have good muscle tone. He just like,
He's
no.
fit.
He's just like average. He has no muscle tone practically at all. He was just like, no, put your clothes back on, Sean. This doesn't work. The whole thing was so stupid. Oh, and the dynamic between her and him, like, she hates him for most of the time. You can tell she's a little bit sort of attracted to him. And then all of a sudden, all it takes is just this one moment. And then she's suddenly deeply in love with him, and they go ahead and go off and get married.
Every woman fell in love with him. Like,
it was
I
so
think
stupid.
That was because he was hot, because he was just sweaty.
Well, he was sweaty, and
he could get hard-ons.
Like what?
That was actually super
only for
important.
her. Yeah.
When they heard that not only for her, because in the end he inseminated the whole lot of them.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Right. Yeah. So
he was in a trance.
Right,
And they were giving him the
men were
knowledge
impotent.
while they were boning him, and that's out of Dune, right out
The
of
rest of
Dune.
the men were impotent. Well, something that I did appreciate about what Ahmed was saying was about how, all these impotent men and the testosterone being, a lot of this crap is happening today.
Yeah.
Even today.
Right.
Testosterone in men is way down.
Right.
So it is true that the themes in this film definitely do apply. And I appreciate the themes. The problem was the delivery was just too insane for me to enjoy. Like, in my opinion, the messaging of this film did it like Equilibrium did this sort of messaging better for me.
The AI,
because it was too out there. It was just too much. And I even wrote down what you had said, Jeff. You had said, or someone had said, I was a little disappointed in how not bad it was.
Yeah.
I think it was.
Yeah.
And so I wrote, what are you talking about? It was horrid.
No, there was a whole.
No,
okay,
it's
so the
nothing.
man
I couldn't.
The man built the AI, right? And then the AI was told to make everybody forget so that they could never dismantle it or destroy it. But that's an AI, right? The AI is in control of the show. So I think that's the main plot, is that there's an AI controlling the humans. I think that, like, if I was going to do a synopsis, I would say, an evil AI controls humans from the future.
Well, Terminator did that better for sure.
This is Terminator, Sin.
Terminator
That's why you should love it.
No.
Skynet's really shiny in this one.
In Terminator, the people are fighting the AI.
Yeah, the AI is trying to destroy them.
Yeah. So yeah.
But there's been other movies that had the AI thing.
It kind of sounds
the AI
like
controlling society.
Am from I Have No Mouth and I Must Scream.
What is that?
I recognize
Harlan Ellison. I don't think there was a movie. I think it was just a book
Oh, okay.
and a game.
Huh.
So,
A
well,
really weird point of that game.
this was pretty bad. I think my face the entire time I was watching it was just pure disgust because it was so stupid to me, and I was just getting angrier as it went on because to me it was just so ridiculous. I just can't, like, to me this hasn't aged well at all. I think I would have hated it just as much back then as I do now.
Huh. Yeah, I can't.
I appreciate what you guys said about it, though, and I see what you're saying, and that makes me like the thematic attempt here. But like I said, the delivery just
Yeah, I'm
couldn't.
also impressed with the delivery.
Oof.
Great
Not
camera
me.
work, lots of like interesting costume design ideas, and set design, right? Like the blankness, the weird blankness of their where they live.
Society, their
you know.
little place.
And also, it's hard not to appreciate, very little clothes on the women. Great. Love that costume design. I also, you know what? Charlotte Rampling, she was just in a movie we saw recently.
Dune.
In Dune,
wait.
right?
Yes.
Right. Dune,
Yeah,
Dune,
she's
Dune.
in Dune, which is
Right,
She also
to me this
she
is
also
like
played
Dune.
in.
She's in-
She also played in one of the last seasons of Dexter.
Oh, really?
And I remember her in some movies from the 70s.
Yeah.
One was called The Drowning Pool. I think she was in that with Paul Newman.
Yeah. Okay.
She's a very attractive lady.
Yeah.
Very
yeah.
pretty.
That was just what I was gonna say. Super.
Yeah,
super
you know what? The sci-fi plot was squeaky clean. Like I think all in all, like the sci-fi plot was like it made perfect sense, like all the way. Like I think in the sense of like it didn't it just I don't know how better to
Look at
explain
those
it.
condoms on the top of
the through line
top
of it.
of
Oh,
Yeah, that was
I didn't
where they're
even
keeping the
notice.
special exotic plants that came from different places.
oh my God! You know who the director of this? You know the other stuff he did. There were two other titles he did that I recognized: Deliverance and
I haven't seen that one.
Excalibur.
Excalibur
well,
I've
he-
seen as a kid, but I want to see it again as an adult.
He
I
liked
think
to
we
use
toyed
that white
with the-
that white
Yeah, yeah.
glowing filter to make things seem like what is it like?
We almost watched Excalibur for something
That was
one time.
That's. I mean, that might have been on. That might have been one of the movies we picked as a tour of the dungeon crawler theme. So that could be next. That could be next month. Excalibur.
I wouldn't mind watching something else of his just to compare it to this travesty of I can't my eyeballs, I swear. I couldn't wait for it to be. It was so and this was one of the first things I watched too. I wanted to just get it out of the way. But you were saying, "Oh, it's surprisingly good," or
It's
and so I'm like,
surprisingly
okay.
watchable. No, the point
No,
it's not
surprisingly
it's not
watchable.
a
Okay,
great
well,
movie, but
Yeah,
it definitely told a story.
And it definitely doesn't deserve the ridicule. I don't think.
Yeah,
that
I
it
agree.
deserves.
I agree.
It
The way
deserves
that I
every
gave it,
bit of the ridicule it gets.
I don't think so. I mean,
I could not.
I'm not really sure what it is that you're specifically disliking. You're saying it's bad.
Yeah,
but,
no, I
the
liked,
whole delivery, the acting in here to me was absolutely terrible. He
Really?
did nothing at all for me as far as the protagonist. The whole storyline was stupid. The whole thing about them tasting the sweat. Yeah, Ahmed, you gave it a wonderful explanation that helps it make sense, but to me it was still dumb.
yeah, everything
It
was
was just
symbolic in this
dumb.
movie, I think.
Yeah.
A lot of symbolism
Yeah.
in here for sure, but it just didn't work for me. And sometimes it
Yeah,
can,
no, I
and
get it.
this time it just no.
Yeah, the bodies.
just
Oh,
didn't.
this is also crazy. I don't know if any of you watched the latest Foundation, the one that was just on Apple.
Oh no, I haven't seen that yet.
There is an idea in here. I won't mention exactly in case you didn't watch it, or for people that didn't watch it. There's an idea in here that like they totally took from here, and I wouldn't have known unless I saw this movie.
Oh really?
Yeah.
Oh, you don't want to say? Okay.
I mean, I don't know. Does the audience care? I don't know. Let's ask. Did anybody watch Foundation?
I haven't seen it.
I haven't seen
I
it.
know.
That's like based off of Isaac Asimov.
I think
Yeah,
so.
it is. But they took liberties and they put stuff in it that wasn't there. And one of the things they took that put in it that wasn't there is something from this movie.
Really?
It's even
no.
funnier.
You're
So the
even
idea that they stole is from here wasn't even in the book, or at least that I can remember anyway.
Now I'm
okay.
super curious.
Last thing I have to say is just addressing what you said about me being disappointed and how not bad it was.
Right.
Last
What? It's
comment.
the comments,
Last
y'all.
comment.
What? Hi, Simon.
Zardoz
Zard doesn't.
Not,
Zardoz
okay,
is not.
so-
He's a Zard doesn't, not a Zard does.
So what I meant by
Exactly.
what I meant by that was I went into the movie expecting to be able to laugh the whole time at how ridiculous it was, but really what I found was something that just kind of missed the mark here and there, but was competent. That that was put together in a way that it was clear that the people who made the movie had a specific vision. And with what they had in 1974, I feel like they did a good job of realizing that vision, and it's coherent, and something that actually kept me thinking about it for a couple days after I was done watching it.
I agree. I agree that it didn't have to be Sean Connery. It did not have to be Sean Connery in that role.
That might be the thing
That could have been.
took
That
me
could
out
have
of
been
it the most,
anybody.
yeah.
That could have been.
Yeah, yeah.
That could. The plainer the person, I think, the better. Right? Because
No, if he's supposed to exude this super sexiness and this high testosterone, he shouldn't be plain. He should be the epitome of like male raw sexuality. And in this role, in James Bond, yeah, maybe. In this role, he just
it's like
looked
they
too
took
goofy. I just couldn't.
Yeah, no, it's like the director didn't know how to direct him to get that out of him.
Maybe. I don't know. Lord.
Bill Underbridge said another thing. Zardoz has good bones, and I think that's right.
Yeah,
like
I agree.
The film
I agree.
has good bones.
The flying head is going around and it's collecting flour, and it's giving these people food and those people food, and there's a whole web of scientific kind of gobbledygook that you could like dive into. So yeah, it has good bones.
Yeah.
But yeah, the execution is
My mind went totally somewhere else when he said that.
Okay. Anybody else have anything to say about Zardoz? And have we gotten all the viewer or all the audience numbers that we're going to get?
I got 4 scores, and altogether it was a 5.75.
Wait,
that almost exactly matches the IMDb, doesn't it? Because IMDb is like 5.8. Isn't the IMDb 5.8 or 5.6?
I'll show you. I think it's 5.
Yeah, I'm curious.
5.8?
Yeah, 5.8. That's so
Look at that.
funny.
Wait,
it's very
Rich,
like
did
divided.
you get 7
Audience
to
divided.
7 for the crowd?
Yes.
Okay, cool. Just
That's
making sure.
interesting. No, so Jeff, the reason I couldn't laugh at how ridiculous it was because it was too ridiculous for me to even laugh at it. I just had this look of utter, just like, what am I watching?
Okay, so Sin, what's your number?
1.
1. Even you liked it even less than. Wow, you even liked it.
Yeah, I hated it.
Munchausen in 3 sittings or 5.
It took me probably 5 or 6 sittings to watch
and yet you
Zardoz,
gave it.
maybe.
It also took you long. I got you.
It took me probably 3 or 4 days to watch Baron, and it took me 5 or 6 to watch Zardoz. And that scene with the crystals or wherever it was I kept falling asleep during that scene, and I would wake back up, and it's still happening.
yeah. It was too long.
Okay, so you gave it a 1.
agree.
I'll give it a 6 and a recommend, not a highly recommend like I would have, like I gave Baron Munchausen. So, Richard, what you got? Oh wait, did you not watch it? You didn't watch this.
No,
one.
he didn't.
He said he
He's gonna give it a
didn't.
5.
Good for you, Rich. Good for you.
And Ahmed, what's your number?
I'm giving it a 7.5 because
7.5.
Okay.
And a
because
recommend?
I'm a sucker for hard sci-fi and this kind of stuff.
Okay.
I'm a real
Okay.
sucker for
This is a recommend as well.
Yes, totally.
Okay.
Totally. I am an absolute sucker for like
So
Logan's
Dune
Run
is hard
and
sci-fi. Do you
Dune.
like
yeah.
Dune? a
Oh
lot?
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. No, Dune that's like my favorite book series. I've read like all
Okay.
all the books and then read the first one several times. and then also read the whole entire series, the ones that his son wrote and
Oh,
Kevin J.
wow.
Anderson.
You are
and-
into it.
Yeah,
I can see why this
like my favorite-
resonated with you.
Exactly. That's
Yeah.
the only reason, because it had these elements of like human evolution and asking questions of society, and like the far future. I love that the movie just tells you what year it is. Like that I like that. Like it seems like it's a silly, simple thing, but I like to reflect on these things. Like, okay, 2263. I'm like, okay, so society came and it fell, and you know, and now we're here. Like it really fell far. You know that we're
Yeah,
that
it
we're all the way
did. They
back
went backwards.
back to
Like,
barbarism.
way in the future,
like,
and they're like, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's a 4.83.
the lowest score ever, right? That's ever.
Yeah, lowest score ever. Cool. So, all right, that is our cinema review show for today. Last thing that we have to do, however, is to pick the next
our
two
next
movies
one.
for next month.
Okay.
Okay.
The Dune series. Would you still love me if I was?
Okay,
I mean,
so
Excalibur sounds like a good choice.
yeah, well, so Tour of the Dungeon Crawler is going to have another book that
Yes,
releases
in
in
May.
that month, so I think that qualifies Excalibur. That's a good excuse to put
Okay.
Excalibur
What else
on the
we have
list.
coming?
Yeah, do you have the release calendar with you?
I am looking at the release calendar for that might be for April. Hold on. I'm looking at it on my phone, and so it's a little. We do have a tour coming out, obviously, and we have City in. No, that's April.
Do you guys want to keep the cinema going through our breaks, through our 2-month breaks? Since it's easy.
I'm personally fine with that. If you
want to, yeah, sure.
It's up
I'm
to
down,
it's up
I'm
to
down if
you.
you are. Okay, cool. Just wanted to make sure because I just realized. Oh,
I knew we were
supposed to
going
start
on like
movies.
yeah, we're supposed to start our. Oh, we're supposed. Sorry.
what?
My desk. I accidentally touched a button on my desk, and it started lowering.
I was wondering why your microphone was going down.
So, yeah, I mean, we're gonna be taking 2-month breaks,
Yeah,
right? It's 4 months on, 2 months off.
never
But
again.
cinema for us is just so easy because we just have
You
fun
just
watching
a
movies
movie
and
and
talking about it.
Exactly.
You know what
I'm okay with
movie
keeping
always
it going.
strikes me with
Same.
when I think of Excalibur, I think of this movie because I remember it was out when Return of the Jedi was out, and I remember being a kid and wanting to go see that, but then my sister wanted to see another movie, and so I think I ended up going to the theater like at the wrong time, so I couldn't see it. So I ended up watching Lady Hawk, which is
I knew you were going to
Michelle
say that.
Pfeiffer, right? Michelle
Matthew
Pfeiffer?
Broderick, Michelle
Matthew
Pfeiffer, Rutger Hauer.
Rutger Hauer. That's that for some reason Excalibur and those movies are like connected together in my
Mixed
brain.
together in your head. Okay.
Yeah, but that's another fantasy-ish movie that.
Yes, I've seen it
potentially
once. I
consider.
remember enjoying it at the time. So we have Dead Tired coming out in
Dead
Dead Tired
May.
2?
Dead Tired 2.
Okay, so necromancy can be a theme. Puns can be a theme.
The Crypt Keeper.
Oh.
The
I mean,
Crypt Keeper. What's the Crypt Keeper movie? Tales from the Crypt.
There's only a few Tales from the Crypt
No,
movies.
There's a movie.
But
There's what Tales
when
from
is
the
he?
Hood.
No, Tales from the Crypt was a movie too, right? Hang on.
Yes, I think it was. He's a lich, right? Is he a lich?
Yeah.
Pretty
for
much.
sure.
Okay.
Pretty much.
I thought there was a movie. Oh, there was one called Demon Knight, which I guess was like a
Demon
story.
Knight.
Oh, I saw that
no,
like
here
a
it
year
is.
or so ago.
Oh, no,
that's
that's the
with
TV
oh
series.
gosh, but Billy Zane, right?
Yeah, Billy Zane.
Yeah. And Jada.
That's the Tales from the
Smith.
Crypt, like inspired, or written
Right.
by the people or whatever. I guess.
Doesn't this take place in a church? Like they kind of
Like
like,
a I thought it was like a
they're
an
holed
inn
up in
or
a church
hotel.
and they're
Well, it's,
Yeah.
fighting off a horde of
Yeah.
some kind.
Yes,
what is
exactly.
this nonsense?
What else do we have?
Oh, he's the
going on?
director.
Identity Theft is coming out.
Identity Theft is coming out next week, or next month.
May.
Oh
yeah.
man, so that one, I bet Big Lebowski would be a
So
choice. But
That's
Big
interesting.
Lebowski's-
Why do you choose Big Lebowski? Because if I didn't, what's the connection? I've never seen Big Lebowski.
Because it's like a detective story that's turned stupid,
Oh,
right?
okay.
Like so like Big Lebowski is probably known as like one of the maybe the best executed neo-noir ever. Like,
I've heard glowing praise of it. I've never been interested to watch it.
Like, most people wouldn't even think of it as a noir until you explain to them how it's a noir.
What is identity theft?
Identity theft is something that we're releasing next month. It's by John Hartness, and it's about a woman who gets her credit card. She discovers that someone orders DoorDash in a different state with her credit card.
And they put mayo on the sandwich.
And they put mayo on the sandwich, and that was the last straw for her. That was what made it to where she just couldn't let it go. So she calls the FBI. Naturally, the FBI doesn't give a fuck, so she goes on a quest to figure out who stole her credit card information.
Nice.
It's like a road trip movie.
Yeah, and it's Annie Ellicott is the narrator. She does a fantastic job.
What about the identity theft movie?
Is there an identity theft company?
Yeah, there's an identity
there
theft
is.
movie, and it's similar plot. Hang on, let me pull it up.
I watched The Nice Guys very recently, so I kind of don't want to. I mean, it's good.
No,
it's a good movie.
It's a comedy with Jason Bateman and
Michelle.
I forget her name.
No, it starts with an M. I know who you're talking about.
Her.
Yeah.
I can't remember her name right now. It's just not happening. Let me see.
I heard it was terrible.
Melissa McCarthy. I
was calling her Michelle.
But yeah, this is it. This is that exact movie. He gets so pissed off that he like goes and tries to find her or whatever.
Okay.
And,
That's so
thematically
funny.
It makes sense, but
yeah, no, we don't have to. It doesn't have to be this one. It's because it's
here's an
thematically not for
suggestion.
us. This is not our kind of movie anyway.
Sorry, what?
What about Face Off?
Face Off? Why Face Off? Why Face
Because
Off?
it's an identity
It
theft.
steals his
Literally
identity.
Oh! What a great excuse to watch that movie.
Yeah, I can't remember it at all.
Yeah, that
I
movie is
love-
a
I
few.
love
Face
John
Off.
Travolta is. I mean, yeah.
Nick Cage.
Oh,
Yeah.
man.
They literally switch identities.
Okay, I mean, that's like...
Hey,
I feel I like that. Excalibur
do we want to
and
do
Face
an
Off.
do we want to do an extra credit or just stick with two?
Up to you guys.
that's another good
What would be the extra credit?
Well, what was the one we were just talking about? See, my brain has already forgotten.
Identity
Face Off.
Thief?
Face Off.
No,
No,
Face Off.
no,
I already
no,
feel like
the
we're
one-
going to do Face Off.
The Big Lebowski.
The book.
The Big Lebowski.
I have never seen
remember
as
that
extra
movie.
credit? You
As
can't
extra
remember
credit.
it?
I've never.
Okay.
I've never
I just
seen
know
it.
the
It just-
Jesus. The Jesus.
I-
So I remember like all this.
Don't
silly
fuck with
stuff,
the
but I don't remember
Jesus.
movie.
Dude, okay, I'm totally down for Big Lebowski as extra credit. So
Okay.
like,
Let me write this down.
so real quick, anybody else who doesn't know, it's the Coen brothers, right? It is their most hilarious comedy by far. It is.
Did they do Raising Arizona?
They did. They did.
I loved Raising Arizona.
It's, Raising Arizona is fucking amazing, and
Yeah.
Big Lebowski has a lot of the same. Like they use a lot of the same things for their comedies and for everything. I mean, they just have a way about them, you know. And
Okay.
so yeah, it's definitely they're an incredibly well crafted noir.
You ever
film.
see Sweet and Low Down?
I've never heard of it.
That's Sean Penn. I think it's a Coen Brothers movie, isn't it? Hang on.
So Excalibur, Face Off, and extra credit, The Big Lebowski.
It's about a guitarist who's sort of like a Django Reinhardt guitarist from the time, and he's like as good, if not better than him. It's Sean Penn, and I don't know who the director is or why I thought of this. It's Woody Allen. Oh, I don't know.
I'd watch it. I'd watch it.
This is an excellent movie. It's an excellent movie. It's basically he's this great guitarist, but he's also kind of a douche, but he's always, whenever he hears about Django, he gets tight because he feels like he should be in Django's spot, not him. You know.
Do you guys know that Django was two-fingered on his left hand?
Yeah, absolutely. It's fun. There's videos of him. You can see him play.
Yeah, it's amazing.
He blocks like structures with his fingers.
Yep.
So like that's how he's doing bars, lots of little bars with his fingers. It's kind of awesome.
Yeah, incredible.
And he sounds great.
I am really very excited about this lineup. Okay, so
Okay.
everybody who's in the audience now, write this down. This is your homework. And what is the date for our next?
Would be the
next
third.
month.
It would be the third Wednesday in May. So it
So
would be
May
before
15.
the con.
May 15th.
So mid-May. Cool.
Okay, May 15th, everybody.
Wait. Yeah. But yeah.
You have
May
3 movies to watch. 2 movies plus extra credit. And I like that Big Lebowski's extra credit because like everyone should have seen this movie by now. So Excalibur, and this is what year is this Excalibur movie from?
Excalibur's
In
80s.
the 80s. I thought early 80s, right?
Yeah.
But
80, like 81.
81. Yeah.
Okay, 1981. All right, 1981 Excalibur. I'm sure there must be another movie that's come out since then called Excalibur, but we'll just
I don't
just
know.
make sure 1981 Excalibur.
There's a
number
lot of
one.
King
That's the only
Arthur's.
one I think about when I hear about
There's
Excalibur.
a lot of King
That's-
Arthur.
Face Off. And this is late 90s, right? Face Off?
Yes.
Yeah, I think it's late
Mid
90s.
to late
Well,
90s,
I'm gonna tell you right
97?
now. 97, yeah.
Yeah. Face Off, Nicolas Cage, and John Travolta. I cannot wait to watch this movie.
That is literal identity theft.
And Big
And,
Lebowski's 98.
Big Lebowski is 1998. Wow. Okay. So yeah, that's our extra credit, guys. So this is pretty amazing. I'm looking forward to this. I almost want to watch one of these, right after we're
You're
done.
the stream will be done and you'll go watch the Big Lebowski.
That's what I did with Zardoz.
Zardoz. Yeah, I know.
That's what I did with Zardoz.
I know.
But no, it wouldn't be Big Lebowski that I rush off to watch because I've seen it like 7 million times.
Oh, okay.
but-
Okay.
Hit go live on the freaking.
Oh, on Instagram?
Yeah.
Yeah,
such
I
a
hate
pain
that.
in
Oh
the butt.
no.
Yeah,
Such a pain in the butt.
it's
I
so
closed the
stupid.
window.
Why don't they just let it work like everything else?
Because you know. Technology.
But I'd be more likely to rush to watch Excalibur, honestly, because it's so foreign to me and it's like a relic in my own
Have you
mind.
seen it?
all
I
three
saw
of
it
these
when I was
movies,
like maybe 5 or 6 years old.
Okay.
I have no recollection of any of these movies, so this is gonna be like watching new movies.
all
Great.
over again. I like when that happens, when you forget so much about it that it is like watching it all over again. That's fun.
And I was never into Face Off. I think I watched Big Lebowski maybe once.
Oh, Outlander has a point here. Need to pick up some vodka and Kahlua before watching Big Lebowski. so yeah, drink White Russians while you're watching the movie. You don't like White Russians? I love White Russians.
I used to when I was a kid, but now when I think of
They're
dairy
so
and
much better
liquor-
after you see this movie.
dairy and liquor together.
Oh,
just
okay.
seems
All right. I'm curious
like
to
a
find out.
bad deal. All right, so
All
I
right,
guess
guys.
then,
Well, we got anything else?
Can't think of anything else.
All right, excellent.
All right, we don't have like music that's separate. Let's.
Well, I do have an outro tune, but I don't use that anymore.
Oh.
But I do have an outro
should send
that I
that my
used to
way.
use. I will. I'll send it your way.
Yeah,
I'll play
can
this
use
for
it.
like 2 seconds.
Use it for the.
Thank you, everybody, for coming. This has been a
Yes,
big
thank
stream.
you.
We maintained like high 20s the entire time.
Oh,
This has been a big
nice.
one.
Cool.
yeah, no.
I'm
it's-
sorry I
it's
couldn't
bringing
interact
the movie
more with
people.
the comments, but I just couldn't. It
You will
was
next
just
time.
too hard. Yeah,
It's-
I'll be
it's
home
all right.
next time.
All right,